Now let's dive into the next part of building capacity. One of the key components in this work is the vernacular, the vocabulary that we all use. If we're all using the same language, then we all have a sense of calibration and our discourse is more effective. So we are going to take a look at the kind of feedback that we use during a learning walk. The first layer of feedback that we offer is the observations, right? Just the outside perspective. We let each other know what we can see from the outside surface layer, what their kids have to say, etc. The second layer of feedback is the questions that give the observer access to the details. The wonderings that we end up with, the things like, how do you select your groups for reading? The teacher's response is additional evidence that should be added to the tool as well. The final part is perhaps the most inspiring part to consider. This is the collegial discourse. This is the, have you tried it like this? Or have you thought about it like that? Or I tried it like this and got this result. This is also where we can share the core 4 continuums for deeper discussion about what is next. This is the part of the discussion that's insightful for all involved, since we're reflecting on our own practices even while we're discussing what we saw in someone else's classroom. The Core 4 Continuum toolkits are documents that offer us a spectrum of what to consider for each of what each of the Core 4s could look like in practice. We all know that this is just examples, but it's a great place to start our discussions, and it gives us a sort of frame of reference. The first page of the toolkit is a self-assessment page. It's the sort of where I'm at now part of the toolkit. The second page is the things to consider part, the what do I want to deepen and possible next steps I could take and examples of what I could do. So now let me introduce this next activity with visuals. Now, everyone listening? Are we ready to go? Okay, so using page 1 of the Core 4 Continuum Toolkits that's on your tables, use sticky notes to list common Core 4 practices that are going on at your school. So, one common practice per sticky. Use the continuums on your table, page 1, to kind of identify different practices that you might typically see at your school for each of the Core 4. Shoot for everybody that's there to have at least 1 or 2 per Core 4 that they contribute. Now, there should be a poster on the walls for each of the Core 4. So you want to place your stickies according to which Core 4 they go in, place them on the correct poster. There will be overlap for some items, so of course just place it in the Core 4 that seems most directly related. So then, after you've put all the stickies on the appropriate Core 4 poster, then you're going to divide yourself up into 4 groups, 1 for each of the Core 4. I suggest that you join the group that you're most interested in for your personal practice to help familiarize yourself with the different things that are there. Now, once you're in the group, that group of people begins to sort the stickies by affinity, which ones are similar topics. You will begin to see that there are common practices throughout the school, trends, if you will. So then, once you've got everything in affinity groups, then you're going to use page 2 of the toolkit to have a discussion with your colleagues that are in your group about the common practices that are happening in your school and what are possibilities for deepening or expansion. Discuss the areas that are particularly strong, areas that seem to have less common practice, and then consider how those connect to the other Core 4 areas. All right, now you're ready to conduct the activity. So note that 20 minutes is set aside for this, so consider having a timekeeper. Move on to the next portion of the workshop when you're ready.